Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Microsoft Partner Showcase. I'm Brian Hitney, solution architect focused on data and analytics. And I'm joined today by my colleague, David, and also Derek from Trace3. We're here to talk a little bit about Trace3's OpenAI solution and to give a little bit more context. First, I'll ask David to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he's been doing, and then we'll throw it over to Derek to do the same.
Thanks, Brian. My name is David Giard. I am a partner solution architect here at Microsoft. About to celebrate my 11-year anniversary in a couple of months here, and my job is to help partners be successful in deploying and designing their applications for Microsoft Azure.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys having me on. My name is Derek Smith. I am the Cloud Practice Director for Microsoft Azure at Trace3. And I've been working on everything as it relates to Microsoft Azure. We've been doing a lot of work around clients' journeys to modernization of their applications, taking advantage of AI platforms and AI capabilities, as well as the security around the cloud platform, as well as the AI services, and how best to push forward into kind of this new digital transformation that we're all going through. So, pleasure to be here.
Great. No, thanks for taking the time to join.
Yeah.
And you've been doing a lot of work with Azure, and I had the thought to myself as well. Well, David, I know you've been here. You said coming up on 11 years. I've been here for a long time, and I've been focused on Azure since the beginning as well. So it's been an interesting journey from the beginnings of Azure with just hosting kind of virtual machines and simple PaaS services to getting into more complex data. And now this whole AI revolution that we're seeing, right? It's been an amazing transformation. So I imagine a lot of your work and what you've been doing has been, I don't want to say all in the AI space, but I would imagine a pretty significant amount of your work.
It certainly has been trending in that direction, right? We've seen a lot of clients, and I've been around Azure since the beginning too. And I remember those days of just doing the simple VM deployments and simple web app, migrating IIS into, those type of PaaS services to where we are today, where, I've worked with clients, I've worked with colleagues and friends who are implementing such technologies like, AI vision, to where they can train the model and train the service to detect things like glaucoma and others far quicker and far faster than an optometrist can, and being able to bring that sort of technology not even to just here, us in kind of the United States and other places, but in less serviced areas, parts of like Africa and other places, right, where that sort of technology can have such a huge impact in everyone's lives. And I think that's what excites me the most about some of the things I get to do within Azure, and especially within AI, is just the hopeful positive impact these things that people are doing and building can bring to us as a just a race of people, and hopefully the positivity that ultimately comes out of it.
Those are great examples of use of AI. What strikes me is that AI has been around a long time. It feels like it's new because there's so much hype now. What's going on now? What are the current trends that are really exciting and interesting?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that AI, as we noted, as a broad discipline, has actually been around for quite a while. I think what has changed has been this newer subset of AI that we all have now come to call as generative AI, and the ability for everyday people to query a system in its natural language and get information or a response back. And while that technology is powerful, it's exciting, it's intoxicating, really. As with anything, there's always two sides to every story or every coin. And so a lot of organizations and what we see with a lot of folks in the industry now are really starting to take a very strategic and focused view of AI, because there's so much information out there, there's so much hype out there, and there's so much possibility with what people can do. You see a lot of executives and people leading these industries talk about, we know we want to do this, we have the ability to do this, but we want to do this in a way that is thoughtful, it's meaningful, it is not going to inadvertently do harm or do wrong, against anybody. And so they view there being kind of four big trends with what's going on in AI. Obviously, trend number one is data. There's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of data just scattered, it's everywhere. And so being able to govern that data, being able to, put it where it needs to be and effectively use the data that we need, because the other side of that coin is there's a lot of stale data that we don't necessarily need to leverage for a lot of organizations. So being able to, clean that up and make use of the relevant data, and then pushing that boundary, right? There's very few organizations right now who are really building, net new AI applications. And the reason why is it takes a lot of planning and effort and focus on what that specific vision for the application is going to be. So right now, what we're seeing or what we're hearing from a lot of clients is I'm consuming AI. I'm consuming some AI service like Microsoft Copilot for M365 or GitHub Copilot or any of the other generative AI tools that are out there, right? So they're consuming those AI tools because obviously they are a platform, they are as a service that are readily available. And then it's how those companies are going to then take that next leap into, building their own similar AI capabilities, much like what Microsoft has made available to us in the various copilots. And so that's where there's a lot of confusion in the industry, is they're really trying to figure out how best to take their organizational data that they have and then retrain, refine, fine-tune those LLM models that are out there for us to leverage to really make a meaningful impact within their business and with their clients that they're servicing from their perspective. And so that's where I think most clients are in, for lack of a better term, with a baseball reference, is inning number one when it comes to this, right? We're entering, middle of first inning, bottom of the first inning, and we're trying to really figure out what those meaningful use cases are going to be for them, and then how do we start driving those strategies into kind of those later stages to really make the impacts that we hope that AI can have.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think I know that especially us internally, we've been using so many of these tools now for a while, but it only more and more usage as time goes on, right? You can ask Copilot for assistance with understanding reports or getting more data out of reports that you're seeing, summarizing meetings and emails, and it's becoming very ubiquitous to be using it many times a day throughout the day to help with work. And I could see that one of the biggest challenges for companies then is to say, well, how do we take the knowledge, that the data that our company has, and then perhaps productize it or use it in a AI solution in a way that brings some kind of return. What do you think are some of those biggest challenges? I know it seemed like just getting up to the plate is the biggest challenge, but what do you think is kind of holding it back? Is it the rapid innovation that's happening? Do you think it's issues like security or governance? What do you see as some of the biggest challenges?
I think the biggest challenges are a lot of what you just highlighted. Obviously, there's a lot of data out there. There's more data being created on a daily basis. And so organizations are taking a more thoughtful approach to how they're implementing AI. And I think it does start with security. It does start with governance and compliance and securing that, because ultimately you see this on both sides, both the private as well as the public sector. You see the private companies really making sure that they're going to handle their data appropriately because they don't want to be a part of the 24-hour news cycle. But also subsequently, you see the public side and regulations and other things that need to catch up with what's going on from an AI perspective because of the rapid pace of innovation and the things that companies are doing. You see this flurry of activity around privacy protections, privacy laws, and really empowering users or just everyday people to be the custodians, the ultimate owners of any data that they're a part of or they're referenced. And so there is this balance that is happening around making sure that companies are doing things in a responsible and ethical and with secure practices, but also making sure that, we're not inadvertently putting anyone at risk now that, I can go to, for lack of a better term, I can go to a designer and say, hey, create an image of, Oprah Winfrey sitting at Fenway Park enjoying, a nice Coca-Cola and, taking in a Red Sox game, and it'll generate that image for me. And I hope and I'm hopefully thoughtful that, Oprah has consented for her likeness to be used, right? But that's some of the things that people, have to be cognizant of. And so that's where you see a lot of these organizations when they're looking at their data, they want to leverage it, and they want to leverage it to bring the company additional value, and especially with the client base that's out there now, there's such this demand for instant gratification, this instant access to things that, at our fingertips, because that's what they're used to. That's what they've always known. And so there's this tug and pull of, I need to get out there and I need to be first, but at the same time, I need to be very methodical and thoughtful, with that kind of approach from a security perspective to, protect those people, because otherwise, they're open for a very bad several weeks of a 24 hours news cycle.
True. Yeah. Well, we've seen that recently here.
Yes, we have.
And by the way, I love all the baseball references in this conversation.
I'm a big fan of baseball. I name dropped obviously my favorite team. I'm gonna guess that Oprah is either a White Sox or a Cubs fan because she's from Chicago. But I don't know. I don't know her personally, so I can't say for sure. Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you though about Trace3, the company that you work for, and what are you guys doing for your customers in this space?
We're doing a lot of things around AI. We've recognized AI as a transformational engine within the industry. And so one of the very first things that we as a company decided to do is that we're going to be AI bilingual. And so everybody at Trace3 has gone through some level of AI training and to understand what it is, what are the impacts, what are the, the benefits, where are the risks and the things that we need to be very mindful of, so that anybody in the organization, from myself to the folks in our accounts payable or accounts receivable, HR, marketing, everybody, right? They've all gotten the same AI training, so we all have that understanding from an end-to-end perspective. And then we are taking all of our lessons and things that we've understood around AI, and we're putting those to use to helping clients understand their strategy, right? What are the use cases that they want to take to market, to take to their customers, and how best do they go about that in a way that ensures that they have the right governance in place, the right policies in place, the right tools and things that they'll need to leverage to bring those things to market in, a manner that is, hopefully expedient, but also in a manner that is secure and has all of the right foundational things in place so that they can grow and scale with their use cases and their usage of AI. And I say this standing on a platform and to say, hey, yeah, we do all these things with AI. We've taken our own things that we've learned, our own things, and put it to use for ourselves. And so we don't just come out there and talk to the clients like, hey, yeah, we're these AI experts. I'd like to think that we are, but we've implemented AI within our own organization to showcase that, hey, we're telling you to do it this way because this is the way we've done it ourselves. And we've seen, the results and the value of the technology that we've implemented. And we're not just, spoon feeding you something from out there on the internet, right? These are our own learnings and practices from real world examples.
And I understand that you also have an offer in the Azure Marketplace around this.
We absolutely do. Yeah, it's our Azure OpenAI with GPT plugin offering. So we can come in and set up a number of different use cases around Azure OpenAI and Azure AI services to help clients across a number of different use cases, whether it's building a chatbot, a knowledge base, extending the use of Copilot and Power Virtual Agents, and really helping them bring that in data and that information to the power of their frontline workers or their knowledge workers, and help them unblock processes, help them optimize, their workflows, because ultimately, and this goes to my love of DevOps, it is people, process, technology. And the toughest thing for organizations is peeling back, that people and process aspect of AI and really getting somebody to understand where are the inefficiencies of what you're doing from a day in and day out perspective. Because I'm sure, as you guys know, right, you go about your day and it's almost like it's on autopilot, for lack of a better term, right? You've been doing certain things for so long, you don't really think about the process that you're going about it. And so to ask a company, to ask, a group of stakeholders, say, okay, I want you to pause for a minute, go on this whiteboard or go on this, whatever template you want to use. Tell me how you go about that specific process. Detail every step for me. And then getting them to look at that from a third person perspective and say, okay, where are the inefficiencies there? And then you kind of see that light bulb or that aha moment click for them and say, oh, I've been doing it this way for years, and that I spend like 4 hours doing that. Like, that's a huge waste of my time when something else could be doing it more efficient. And those are those things that we are looking for, especially with the Azure OpenAI solution. We're looking for those things, those inefficiencies where you can bring that technology to really change and transform somebody's methodologies and their process, the way they go about work. And to your point, and I talked about us, practicing what we preach. We've implemented this very solution inside of Trace3. And so we treated it as a knowledge base. We uploaded a lot of Trace3's intellectual property around some of the other solutions that we do as part of cloud, and we put it to use. And so now, as part of this internal knowledge base, right, I can go and query this knowledge base of what have I done at a previous client? Can you tell me some of the work that I've done there previously, like maybe applications that I've worked on, and can you give me specifics about that application that I've worked on? What sort of findings, what sort of recommendations were generated out of that, and can I apply that to maybe this existing or new project that I'm going to be working on? And one such example is we are working with a fairly large client who is looking to bolster their resiliency of a lot of their applications. And so normally a process like that is very manual. It takes a lot of time and effort, right? Several weeks. Because of this knowledge base now, we've taken that level of effort, right? 4 to 5 weeks, cut that down to now 4 to 5 hours. So it's had a very transformational impact in not only the way we do our own business, right? But the way that we can now bring that to our clients and help them realize the same impact in their own processes.
It's unbelievable. Weeks to hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very tangible outcome, right? Because I think I could see that question being asked by companies is, well, what is the ROI? What are we going to get out of this? And by illustrating that and showing the savings that you have, that's an incredible, that's not just a small difference, right? I mean, that's a huge impact. So, I mean, that's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about specific industries that you may be working in and how the needs of, the various customers that you've been working with, how's that shaped you all, say, internally? Do you have different teams associated with industries? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, no, Trace3 certainly works with all sorts of industries, but we certainly have a leading set of capabilities around 2 industries in particular, in financial services and healthcare and life sciences. And so much so that, recently Trace3 has undergone the exercise to verticalize these 2 industries. And so we now have a dedicated team who focuses very specifically on financial services. And we have another team that focuses very specifically on healthcare and life sciences. And this isn't, us just saying, oh, yay, we have these teams. These are groups who have worked with or been in those industries for decades, and they bring, that level of experience around those particular industries as well as IT to those customers and clients that they serve in those specific things. So when they get asked, hey, I'm this big hospital system X over here. Can you tell me what, my peers have been doing? And that person can say, yeah, I've worked with this hospital system over here and this healthcare system over here and this one over here. And here's all the different things they've been doing. And here's some of the similarities that you can then leverage to you to help, solve your pain points, because maybe they had a similar pain point and they've figured that out and solved it, right? And so it's bringing that knowledge that we've had inside of Trace3 for years, all right, to new and existing clients across both those industries. So it's a very exciting time to be in both those groups, and it's been fun to partner with both of them and bring Microsoft and the power of Azure and AI and other things to those very specific industries. And there's a lot of work to be done in them. They have a lot of use cases. Part of what I do outside of Trace3 is that I spend a lot of time in the community, hosting events, speaking at various things, and it's fun to see what possibilities are out there. And one such example, I remember last year we had a very particular event, and this may time date when we're talking about this, but we call the event Azure Back to School, because obviously everybody is going back to school here very soon. And so we kind of frame this as a, hey, let's refresh everybody with kind of the latest stuff that's going on with Azure. And last year we had somebody who built an AI solution around natural, almost real-time language translation and real-time. Another one did another real-time vision detection of eye disease, and it was phenomenal to see that. And this individual just came up with a solution on their own, just playing around inside of Azure, and to be able to take something like that, right, marry it with the power that some of those industry and those group things bring, that, right? That's what healthcare is looking for. They're looking for those innovative solutions that allow doctors to be far more effective, to treat patients without having them to walk in the door. I've heard one such healthcare client mention, hey, the more we can treat and solve our clients' problems but without having them to walk in to an ER or walk into the thing, like that's a benefit. And it's technologies like that that really make that possible. And similarly in the financial industry, things we see around being able to give people better insights, better thought process around how to better manage their money, manage their investments, right? Protect them, right? Making sure they're not subject to fraud or being duped out of scam or something of that nature, right? Those are things that when you have AI analyze user behavior, user patterns and things, right, they can detect that and alert people saying, hey, we've noticed this has been your normal spending behavior. All of a sudden you're doing all these weird transactions that don't normally make sense. Is everything okay? Right? And then you might talk to this customer of theirs who could be some 70 or 80-year-old elderly person who was like, oh yeah, I was talking to so and so, and they were telling me about this great opportunity, and they're like, and the system will say, hey, they're actually not trustworthy, right? And you could be proactively, because there's a lot of that out there, and being able to bring that technology to help these financial services clients deal with a very real world problem in that way is just powerful, and I love to see it.
Sounds life changing.
It is. It can be very life changing.
Real-time anomaly detection like that in financial services in particular, but also health, all industry, manufacturing. I mean, every industry. There's to be able to do that in real time is amazing, and it adapts to the conditions to be able to detect things like that. So that's fantastic. Now, this specific solution that you have, this is available in the Azure Marketplace, it's based on Azure OpenAI. So we'll have a link to that in the description. So yeah, David, I know you were asking earlier about follow-ups and we were chatting a little bit about conferences. So you
Yeah,
want to
well,
talk
I
about
understand
that?
that you have a conference coming up, Derek.
We do. So in several weeks coming up here, Trace3 has its annual Evolve Technology Conference. It's hosted in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan, and we are looking forward to hosting a very large contingent of our clients, business leaders, technologists, and other folks to get together and talk about emerging trends, tech strategies, and really showcasing, what the art of the possible looks like, and not just look like it from a, theoretical, but also giving them, a hands-on demonstration of these technologies in real life, in real world scenarios, and being able to, hopefully trigger that aha or that light bulb moment of, hey, I've been trying to solve this problem for the last several months at my work. I've just seen a demo that really, might fit the bill. Let me take that back home. So yeah, it'll be a fun 2 days. It's a very busy 2 days in Vegas, but every year the conference has just grown and grown, and this year we're over 1,000 attendees, which is the first time that has happened. So it's going to be a lot of fun getting to see a lot of people in person together in Vegas, and in not a very short amount of time, September 11th through 13th.
Yeah, that's coming up quick. We'll make sure we put a link to the Evolve conference. I'm guessing by the time people see this, it'll be too late to go, because it'll be like maybe right before, or like, imminently before. But hopefully you'll have some of that content posted online, or people can go read about it and see all of that. Outside of the conference, any recommended ways for people to follow up with you to learn more? Obviously, we can include a link to the Trace3 website, but any other recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned before, I'm very active out in the Azure community, so anyone can reach out to me via social media or see me out there in there. I'm happy to always stop and have a conversation with folks who just want to talk about cool technology, especially cloud technology. And so, yeah, feel free to ever, reach out to me on any of my socials. I always do my best to respond to people as quickly as I can, and, chat with them about, whatever their struggle or challenges, both, from a technical standpoint, but also from a learning standpoint. I do a lot of, training for folks. Obviously, I mentioned the Azure Back to School. So happy to always help provide people guidance and direction on their cloud learning journey. And it's always fun to see people, pursue that and pursue their dreams and achieve the things that they're hoping to achieve.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Derek, for taking the time to join us today and talk about specifically Azure OpenAI solution. We know you have other solutions you have too.
Yes.
Hopefully in the future we can talk about them as well, but really exciting to see what you're doing in the industry and your contributions to community. So thanks for taking the time to join us. And David, thank you for joining me today on this partner showcase. It was great to have you as a co-host. Brian. And thank you everybody for watching, and see you on the next Microsoft Partner Showcase. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Thank you.